Hi, everybody. To say my name is Lee. I'm with MidAtlantic Finance Company. So what I'll try to do, what the goal is to kind of explain who MidAtlantic is, you know, what we are, what we can do for you, why is math the right choice, and what strategic partnering is. And I'll kind of cover that with you as well. MidAtlantic Finance. What is MidAtlantic Finance? Well, MidAtlantic Finance is a group of people. We are people. We are constantly evolving ourselves, though. We are systematically and, I guess, you know, fundamentally always trying to better ourselves. We are a finance provider specializing in subprime. What I have here is actually one of 10 meetings that we actually had here the other day, where we actually went over integrations with companies like Reaves. We went over our practices, best practices, how we can help our consumers, our dealers, our partners, everybody benefit from, you know, just a wealth of knowledge in the industry and how, I guess, to just be better for you. And, you know, we've been around the industry for a while, and one of the things that we are really great at doing is working in subprime financing. So independence, buy here, pay here paper is kind of where we specialize. What can math do for you? Well, we have two programs like Bob had stated. We have our bulk, aka sales receivable purchasing, or I guess you could say portfolio purchasing. And we have our flex, also known as indirect lending, you know, point of sale. There's a lot of different terms that a lot of different teams call them by. You may actually have experience with dealing with other lenders, and they may call their program something else. Probably not as good as us, but you know, that's neither here nor there. Kind of go over what bulk is. What our sales receivable purchasing is, our portfolio purchasing. It's buy here, pay here loans that have paid down. So 3 to 6 payments in, less than 50 months remaining. We pride ourselves on fast funding. And what we do is we try to make things as easy as possible on our clients, on our dealer friends, our partners, by just making things as automated as possible, but at the same time on our side, not your responsibility. You have to deal with a plethora of other things in your lot day in, day out. You shouldn't be bothered with someone trying to acquire your documents. That should be a little bit more on us, not you. So we pride ourselves on that. We have a bonus program. It's an incentive that goes the length of the loans that we purchase from you. So as these loans pay out, we start to look to actually pay you additional funds after the fact for deals that perform exceptionally well. So we build a lifelong relationship. Part of that is full transparency. So we actually allow you to have access to these accounts even afterwards to view them as they start to pay down. And then you can actually utilize that transparency to remarket to those dealers. So you'll be able to reach out to them when they get paid down low, you know, and offer them a new vehicle. And then more than likely, they'll ask to be sold back to MidAtlantic Finance to take advantage of some of our programs. So it builds on that relationship that's long-term. We've had clients for the length of our existence that have just repeatedly sold us accounts and then remarketed those customers at the end to get them in the newer vehicle once they're down to about a down payment on trading. We do have a 30-day recourse, which is standard for the industry on any kind of portfolio purchasing. But if you do have good customers that pay down these loans, chances are you won't run into an issue about having to buy them back. I mean, repurchases do happen, but a 30-day recourse is pretty easy to maintain, especially if you know what you're doing within Reaves to get us good contracted accounts. Our second program, this is a recently new program. This is a flex, aka indirect lending point of sale. So this is while the customer is there at your lot. We have instant pricing. It's about a 6-second callback between the customer, their credit, and of course, the vehicle evaluation. So you're going to get your advance and know what you're making, what you stand to make by selling that loan same day. The terms make sense. We're pretty proud of that. We're not trying to put consumers into vehicles that just don't work for them. Putting them in a huge balloon payment with long terms. Well, one, that account won't make it to the end. They won't come back to you. They won't buy more vehicles. And ultimately, we'll be on the hook for an open-end finance that never gets closed. So we have it to where we actually build deals for you and help you price deals accordingly. Our advances they can't be beat, not with realistic and reasonable expectations. We ask that if you do try us and you find that you have another finance provider that beats us, that you actually go ahead and give us that call back. And we're going to do the best that we can to prove to you that we will beat everyone. It's a 24-hour access. It's actually a website, which I'm going to go over in a little bit here, where you can actually price these deals. And I do see dealers who run the gambit of rehashing deals that maybe got turned down at their other lenders, or deals that they feel would be better off going to a lender. 1 o'clock in the morning when they close their lot and they finally get, to trying to shut their eyes, they're actually loading deals. So we have that access for you 24/7. We have teams here that service not only the loans, but they service you. They help you get the deals in, process the deals, communicate with you the issues that we see with the deals or the consumers after the fact, and maintain a dealer relationship that goes the entire length of the business loan. Again, full transparency, same as what we have with the bulk. You'll be able to access these deals, see them pay down, remarket. We encourage that. Repeat business is the foundation, the cornerstone of MidAtlantic Finance. And then, of course, you pick your own recourse with Flex. Now, what that basically means is you can decide that you want to sell a deal with no recourse on it, 1 month recourse, 2 month recourse. Now, 2 month is the standard, but you can decide how you want to sell those loans. And if you do choose to do that, that's perfectly fine. It does change the advance rates. And it's something you can actually go in and take a look at. I'll go over that. It's a great question, Kiki Phillips. What's the turnaround time on something like that? We'll show you. So that's our bulk and flex department little logos. I made those. You can all comment how great they are. So why is MAP the right choice? And I kind of skirted it, but one of the big reasons is because we've been around 30 years. 30 years we've been doing exactly what I just told you. When I say the Flex program is a little bit newer, I mean that it's been up and going for about 15 years. So we are in the industry for the long haul. We've been around for a while. We're part of actually a larger group known as Crown Auto in the Florida area and a few other states. We have about 40 rooftops. We know dealerships because we are a dealership. We know financing because we finance our own deals. We structure deals that make sense for the consumers because we ultimately maintain those loans. And well, we're celebrating a dirty 30 because of it. So we're very happy to celebrate that 30 years with some of our clients that have been around 30 years. So it's, again, one of those things that no one else in the industry can really boast about because they're not in it for the long haul. They're looking to make fast cash. Strategic partnership. Strategic partnering. Well, actually, Bob, we can't shake hands anymore, can we? I guess not. We can do elbows.
Yeah, we can bump elbows. That looks good.
We can bump elbows. Strategic partnering, essentially, and this is kind of a fun thing. Bob and I met together a few times at a couple of shows trying to communicate with the dealers, getting feedback, and we realized that we had something in common. A lot of our dealers had Wayne Reaves dealer management software on their desktop. And I need to get my information, my deals to get into those systems. And Bob and I worked out a plan to get that done. And how that works in a regular standpoint and how it used to work as far as financing deals and lending to anybody was you would, for the bulk component, and this is the sales receivable, how to sell your portfolio, you'd have to create a file within your dealer management software, maybe not Wayne Reaves, but maybe another one if anyone's experienced with those. Where you'd have to add the columns and the figures required. You'd then have to email to a company like MidAtlantic or someone else that potential set of deals. Now that's unsecured. You're sending an email, you don't know who, that's customer information. If it turns out you didn't secure that information, That's on you. That's not on the person you emailed it to. So it's unreliable and it's risky. At that point that you've sent the data, you now have to make copies of all the contracts, copies of all the credit apps. You have to produce the pay histories for all the loans. Several days later, you will have to reproduce pay histories again, and then you will get an offer. After that, you will have to send the originals. Several days later after that, again, you'll be asked to reproduce those pay histories again, but with even less accounts, because you started with a high number, but by the end, after reviewing it and putting all this stuff into this whole process, you're still not done. It's been a week and you still haven't been funded. And that's what it was before Bob and I met. It's very stressful. This is it now. So this is selling your notes to MidAtlantic Finance within the Wayne Reaves system. All you have to do is enable MidAtlantic Finance within Wayne Reaves. You receive an offer within hours. We're connected, it's secure. It goes through a very secure system where the data is transferred very securely. I can't say that enough. We're living in an age of technology where information is at risk. We've guaranteed that this is going to be safe and transitions very methodically between our two companies. You'll receive an offer within hours. We will ask you for the originals at that point, and you're done. I'm not going to ask you to do anything else other than maybe answer some questions about your business so we can build a dealer profile. You will be funded within 48 and 72 hours, assuming, and I have to say this, the sending of originals and the documents. Right now, the mail's been a little bit hasty. I'm sure a few people have realized some of that we're trying to just order from Amazon. So with that respect, on a bulk deal, you could be funded in 48 to 72 hours. Conservatively, seeing unforeseen issues not happen, that's done almost every day. So we're pretty proud of that, and that's done within your Wayne Reaves, and I'll go over that, how to activate that. It's that easy. Indirect lending, how it used to work. Again, this is in retrospect. Getting a customer into your lot. Bob has a lot of bells and whistles within Wayne Reaves that help you do that. Take advantage of that. Learn from the master. He knows what he's doing. He will help you get the clients in, utilizing some of their integrations. Getting a credit app. Qualifying the customer. Now you've gotten the guy in the lot. You've gotten the lady into the lot. You have that family in the lot. You get them to fill out the information. You are now qualifying them. It has to make sense. They have to have a job. They have to have an address. You have to know them, feel them out, get them into a realistic kind of mentality on if they're actually going to buy a car. Do they have down payment? What are they looking to do? Once you do that, you have to enter the information into your DMS. Once you do that, you have to enter the information again, but into your financing provider, or you fax it to your financing provider or someone else. Again, this is not secure. You're faxing information to a number you may not know. That's social security numbers, that's addresses, income, a lot of data that you shouldn't be doing. And you're duplicating it. You're gonna make mistakes. People make mistakes. I make mistakes. I've made 20 mistakes while we've been doing this, this meeting. So there's room for error, and sadly, that's kind of risky when you're trying to do a finance deal. You have to negotiate the deal with the finance company if you can get someone on the phone. If you send the information in, that has to be entered into their whole system, and then they have to spend time to analyze the deal and then maybe deliver you a deal back within an hour if they're not busy or something's come up that they can't get back to you. Negotiating with the customer, now that you've negotiated with a finance company, you have to negotiate with the customer, which means that you're doing 2 times the negotiating, 2 times the data entry, and you still haven't gotten anything. Once you get an approval that works for them and you can now begin contracting. Contracting back then meant that you actually had to know the APR, the limitations. You had to put in the monthly payment and all this information. Wayne Reaves is very great because it will actually tie out the information. It will make things compliant. But if you're trying to match a finance company's offer and a callback, chances are maybe the finance company's got a different figure than what's actually supposed to be done in your system. Maybe there's a new regulation that they're not aware of as far as APR, You know, Georgia is an add-on rate state. Florida is an add-on rate state. Texas. Those little variables could mean that you're trying to put together a deal that when it goes to a finance company may not be compliant, and therefore the finance company has to send it back to you. You've done all that and you still haven't gotten paid. That's very stressful. There's a lot of facts and figures that go into trying to do a deal that you by yourself at the lot, some of you guys and girls, I know that you're doing this, you're spending time trying to negotiate the deal while getting the cars ready, putting out test drives, keeping things together, answer the phone, taking payments. It's an onslaught. Well, this is now. Within the Wayne Reaves system, you can go ahead and you can get the customer information. You get them in. You load them in the Wayne Reaves. You can have an instant offer within the Wayne Reaves system. If you accept the offer, all you have to do is then hit print on the contracts. Those tie out. They are driven with compliant numbers that make sense through your Wayne Reaves portal, and there's no errors. We've given you an approval based on the customer, based on the vehicle. You know what you're getting. You click accept, you're good to go. There's none of this. And that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of red tape, and you're not guaranteed anything. That deal comes over to the finance company, and back in the day, we would send back hundreds of deals a month without any remorse because we could not, with the CFPB, purchase accounts that did not add up to within $1 of a variance. So this is pretty easy. I'm very proud of this. Bob, thank you very much for that.
No, you're welcome. Appreciate you guys.
As far as Kiki's question, how fast could we get a dealer funded with indirect lending? That all depends on how quickly you can get us the originals. That falls in line with the 48 to 72 hours. What we need to do is we have the deal come in, we verify the originals, we speak to the customer to make sure that they have a pulse and that it's a real living, breathing American or non-US citizen. I'll go over that. And we get the deal done. So again, unforeseen issues with mail or the customer doesn't answer the phone, which we know everybody has a 9-to-5 job. They're not picking up the phone. Thankfully now a lot of them are working remotely. They're picking up the phone a lot more easily. You can get that deal done very fast, Kiki. Okay? That's a great question. Let's see here. Some highlights about MidAtlantic Finance and what we specialize. Again, in the last 30 years, we have figured out what works. Where other lenders are not going to touch, we will touch. Where other lenders will say, no, that's not a deal we will do, we will do. We know that consumers will pay on loans if given an opportunity. So, open bankruptcy, we will take care of it. Salvage rebuilt titles. I wish you guys could raise hands to tell me how many of you have gone to the auction and passed on a salvage or a rebuild because you cannot buy it. MidAtlantic Finance will seat that customer and get that deal done for you. Okay, that's something that no one else is doing. For the consumer with past repossessions, we're going to do that as well. Again, these are open repos. These are customers that have had repos outside of 6 months. We know mistakes happen. We know that they paid down that loan very much before they did an involuntary repo. We understand those things. We've seen it in the last 30 years, every which way you can imagine. I've heard all the stories. We know how to buy those deals. We buy old cars. 2001.
Quick question. One of the chat messages is Joe is asking, is this available to dealers in the great state of Missouri?
Yes, I can get you, actually when we're all done, I'll get you a full link on where to register. You know, you can punch in all your information, register on our website, and from there I can have somebody reach out to you. They can go over how to do deals.
Great. There was a hand raiser, but that seems to have gone. I'm not sure if that was answered. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good, Bob. I'm new to the whole web Zoom meeting, so I'm trying to learn it as we go.
You're good. I'll keep my eyes on the chats and where we are. So cool.
Please send Bob your questions. Phone in.
Yeah, there is a Q and Q&A, but that's all. You've already answered that one.
Yeah. Please send in your questions. Bob's here to answer. 2001 and older or newer, we buy those cars. A lot of people know that they're not selling those cars to any other finance company. High mileage. Again, 200,000 miles on a gas, 300,000 miles on a diesel. We know vehicles, we know consumers, we will buy those deals. International driver's license and visas, I will buy those. No Social Security, tax ID, I will buy those. Hard to prove income. Okay, so this, obviously, there's a lot going on right now in the US, in the world, and MidAtlantic Finance prides itself on the fact that there are new jobs hiring employees that need vehicles to get to work, to get things done. We are understanding we have the ability to verify employment letters. We will get these customers on the road. Deals that work best for us, and again, subprime, older vehicles, miles high, we will work these deals $3,000 to $12,000. You will receive the best advance check possible. No one, again, will buy these cars considering that you're going to be working really well. Short-term, long-term, we really try and keep it tight. You kind of can see how this mirrors a little bit of what we do with our bulk purchasing. We don't actually take any payments up front. Obviously, it's indirect lending, but the term has to make sense. And too long, the deals can go south. At the same time, we're not going to do repeat business for you by sending them up for 72 months, and they're not going to get past 40. So 42 is ideal. Get them in, trade them for a new vehicle, get them back out. Down payment, $600. $600 down payment. That is unheard of. I don't think anyone else can do it. It's too risky otherwise. MidAtlantic Finance knows that $600 makes or breaks a deal. We've done it for 30 years. We have the data. We have the consumers. We know what works. 10% of the sales price otherwise. You can't really beat that. Low income, $1,400 on an individual, $1,700 on a joint. This, and I can't stress this enough, these are impacting how your advance go, but this still guarantees you a sale. You will get that customer out on the road with $1,400 provable income. Short time on job, again, we did have the job letter less than a week. If they have information that we can verify, we know how to verify it. We'll get them financed and on the road. All of this, everything I've just covered is at your disposal. It's located right here inside your Wayne Reaves. Now to get registered, you obviously have to visit midfinance.com. Again, I'll send all that information to Bob Gianno. They'll recap, send it all out to you. You'll have my information. You can contact me directly, with anything like that. What type of recourse? Jerry Jennings. Jerry, the recourse on indirect lending is you choose your own. Again, I can go over all that with you, 30, 60, or 0. Obviously, that impacts how you're going to be getting your advance, what kind of advance rate you'll be getting based on the risk with no recourse and recourse. So you can take advantage of that. Also, on top of that, you can, in the bulk sense, if you're asking for sales receivable, you might be able to do a no recourse, same situation, but you want to ideally keep that going with a 30-day recourse, which is industry standard. Kiki had another question. What if the car price is more than $12,000? Is there a limit? No, there's not really a limit. But after a while, if you're putting somebody in a $30,000 car, you're not looking for a subprime finance company in direct. And if they got an 800 Beacon, you probably aren't looking at us, but we'll still help you out every step of the way. Jenny, how do you determine values of bulk sales? Well, again, we'll go back to the fact that in the bulk component, 30 years worth of industry knowledge, that's just the lights on 30 years. You take in consideration the 300 employees that we have working here, the knowledge that we have on how to price those deals, how to work those deals. We actually have an unparalleled methodology on how to price those deals in the bulk sales. So if you want to get it priced, and it only takes a couple hours, you reach out to me and I can have your portfolio priced within an hour. If you send it to me directly when we're done talking, I can actually see it done in probably 5 minutes. It won't take that long. So Jenny, see me after class. We'll talk.
There's a hand raiser there, Chanel Ragland. And Chanel, I don't know if you can type your question. Maybe able to, maybe not. Ah, did.
Okay. Classy, how long have we been in business? 30 years. 3 decades. Actually, I was 5 years old when we opened the doors. Don't ask me what I was doing when that was happening. Probably in trouble.
Lee, how long does a dealer have to be in business? And I think that's tied into Chanel's. Do you work with brand new dealers? New as in a new used car dealer?
Yeah, we do. I mean, you want to be licensed. Obviously, we're going to start to learn each other. Whenever a new dealer, whether they've been in the industry for 20 years, 30 years, or they're just starting out and the paint's still drying on their sign, we're going to work with you, and we're going to take it slow. It doesn't matter how long you've been in business, we're going to take it slow. And once we build that relationship and everything like that, we're going to start seeing how things perform. And of course, down the line, you'll be looking back and say, I remember when that weird guy got on my computer and said some things with that ugly, unshaped beard. It's not my fault. I wish I could get my beard cut. I can't do that. Let's see here. So brand new dealers, yes. 30 years we've been in business. Activate MAF and Wayne Reaves. I'll show you how to do that. Once you get activated Kiki on our website, which again, I'll recap with you, you'll be able to go in here. So let's move on. I'll show you how we do it. So within your Wayne Reaves, okay? Right up at the top here, you have your toolbar, all right? The toolbar has utilities. Drop down to Wayne Reaves Partner Setups. Once you do that, you come into an open window, Partner Setups. You get the third-party finance companies. Find MidAtlantic. Now, this is for the bulk component. And you're going to enter a CMS ID once you hit Setup. CMS ID is a customer ID that I have that's unique to you. Helps me find you in my system. So I can give you that. If we're already, again, we have you on the books, I could probably find that for you in 2 seconds. If not, I'll have you register. We'll have a brand new number. We'll put it in. We also have for the point of sales, how you link up to send us apps. Same place that you did for the bulk, you're going to do for the point of sale. Now, Bob can tell you all these other finance lines and visit websites, they're all blank. They don't work. Only these two work. Right, Bob? When you go in there, you'll know what I'm talking about. Now, how this system works. And I'm just going to give you a real-time thing. I wasn't really sure on how to do this with Zoom, on how to load a deal in real time, and if the internet's going to work, because now I'm sure any day now, Spectrum's going to start having some issues, knock on wood. But what we have here is you have the ability to sell a vehicle or update with one of your pending sales, okay? Once you do that, you choose a customer, you make sure all the info is in there that's required, and we'll go over that. We'll train you how to do that. You hit print forms, you request financing, you choose MidAtlantic Finance, you hit submit, you get an offer, you hit update sale, done. In your email, you'll get a very robust callback from MidAtlantic Finance. This is going to go over a lot of details for F&I reps on here. You know what I'm talking about. As far as the deal and what to choose, you have a kind of an a la carte option when you pick your advance rates and how you get paid. Now, this is just an example, so don't choose these numbers as actual numbers. You get a feedback with a sample app. But you can see in the center, we have what's gap and device. We actually offer a gap program that benefits you. You get an advance rate on that increase. We also sell devices. We have a company that we're partnered with called Call Pass Tech. I Gotcha GPS. If you sell a vehicle that has one of those on there, we actually take off additional money. You recoup more money in your pocket. So essentially, you pay for a device that you end up making money on because you've lowered the risk of the vehicle when it comes to purchasing. And the combination of those down until no products shows how we evaluate risk and reward for gap and device on the vehicles. And again, I can have your rep, your assigned team member here at MidAtlantic Finance go over all that with you in depth, train you on this, because like anything, like what Bob does and what Wayne Reaves is really popular with doing is training, training, training. you're only as good as your system. And if you don't utilize all the components of it, you'll never really know. So we're pretty on the same page with Bob and Team Wayne Reaves about making sure that we educate you on everything that you're seeing and going over everything with you. So as far as my presentation, it's done. I thank everybody. And of course, any additional questions, I can answer them now. If anybody has any that I didn't answer yet.
Let me see if there's a couple coming in there, Lee. It looks like, what is the minimum deal package bulk vehicles are required to have full coverage for all price vehicles? So do they need full coverage? And if you, and I'm not sure exactly what that question is about the deal package bulk. Is there like a minimum number of deals they need?
No, not really. And again, our programs are pretty robust. I can even do an indirect lend on a program that you can sell me 1 or 2 accounts, 10 accounts, 1,374 accounts. Ask me about that one day, Bob. 1,374 accounts. I got a lot of paper cuts.
Nice.
A lot of paper cuts on that.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive.
Am
I able to watch this again? Was late. You know, Nancy Skinner, you'll get my information. I can give you a personal walkthrough, or Bob can actually help you out as well. We can go through everything that I covered, and then anything Bob seeks to cover or anything like that, he can get.
Yeah, I think Gianna has recorded the session, Lee, and with your permission, we'll make it available.
Ooh, as long as I get a copy.
You can get a copy on YouTube. Does that work?
Are there filters? Can we have filters? Can we do like, what is it? Cat, the ears, you know, something that de-ages, maybe a thinner app, narrow it. Gianna, you can do it. If anyone can, you know how to do this stuff.
Lee, one of the things I remember years ago, oh gosh, back in the 90s, I remember talking to a gentleman that worked for a finance company back then, and he was in the point of sale, and they did some bulk purchase as well. And I remember a relatively new dealer, and a lot of the folks watching today might be relatively new and maybe never done financing before. And back in the day, this one dealer, he had taken a couple of, maybe it was 3 credit applications from customers and sent them directly to the finance company. And back in the day, it was faxes. We used the old fax machines. Remember those? And he would fax those deals in, and it wasn't too long before the faxes came back with just turned down. It was declined. And, you know, he thought the finance company was never going to finance anybody. And he talked to me about it. And I called the guy at the finance company, and he's long since retired. And basically the question was, how many deals, or what percentage of the deals I send in will the finance company actually finance? Because I don't think they're going to finance any, is what he said. And the gentleman at the finance company said this, and I'll never forget it, Lee. He said, Bob, he said, you can tell him this: I will finance 100% of the deals that he sends in that qualify. Yeah. And so I imagine that as long as the dealers know who qualifies, and probably it's useful for a dealership that's doing, especially on the indirect or the point of sale or your flex program, probably really needs to be signed up with a credit bureau company to be able to access the credit bureaus to know what they're dealing with. Or we actually offer that. Once they've processed the deal through our system, it's disclosed in there. I know Wayne Reaves actually has a very reputable program as well in the Wayne Reaves system built in. So you can utilize the one provided with Wayne Reaves, which I recommend everything Wayne Reaves. I have it's on the back of my jacket in a logo patch like NASCAR. Excellent. And also within our system, once you submit the deal, you as a trusted client can utilize the credit reports that we provide, you know, that we actually arise to our decision. So if you see a turn down for a previous repo or anything like that, you'll know why. That's fantastic. Yeah. What other little bits of information? One of the things that I sometimes try to remind dealers when they're dealing with a finance company like yours, Lee, really, and you kind of touched on this. There's none like me, Bob. There's none like us. No one's like us. Like you. That's exactly right. But when you said that the dealer is negotiating with the finance company, really you are a customer of the dealership, because the dealership is trying to sell you a contract. And if that contract doesn't work out, they've then sold you a car, because you may end up with that vehicle, and you probably paid more for that vehicle than the dealer did.
Yeah.
So you are a customer.
We are a customer. We are partners. We are in it together. So there's got to be a give and a take, and there has to be an ability to work within a deal. What we do and what we pride ourselves on doing is sending you back in within your Wayne Reeves program when you're linked up with us is the most advantageous, the highest, most blown out deal we could possibly do within regards to being, modest, I guess you could say. We don't want to, put unnecessary financial strain on the consumers, because we both answer to the consumers, both the finance company and the dealers.
Right.
If they stop buying cars from us or stop mailing payments into me, well, we got to close up. We're in the wrong gimmick. To show Bob the actual process, this is actually I don't know if everybody can see my screen.
We can.
Yep. This is our website. This is MidAtlantic Finance's portal. This is where that app I sent previously, you can actually see the deal right here, right now, live. It went through the system, and you're able to change it. Let's say that consumer gives you $1,500 instead of $1,300. The advance changes. You're getting more money in your pocket versus, on the advance rate, but the advance rate, notice, didn't go down very much. Let's say that their grandmother just mailed them a birthday check. I got $2,000. That's $2,000 plus the $7,000. You're walking away with $9,700, almost 10 grand. But let's say this consumer, that they can't do anything other than 24 months. You can rework the deal. You can make the payments make sense. You can see that it's a very guided system where you can work the deal as you see fit. If the deal makes sense, and this one does for the most part, you can see I brought it down to 24 months. I'm going to get a check for $6,300. I'm happy with this. I've negotiated with the customer. I have no red lights. Everything seems to be approved. If I hit submit this deal, it is actually going through the process of reworking the deal automatically, systematically, and it gives you a callback. This deal is good to go. You could contract off of this deal, and then we verify the process. So as you build a relationship with us and knowledge on how our program works, you can actually negotiate with the computer. We take us out of it. You work the deal. You see where it works, where it doesn't work. You work with the consumer and make the deal make sense. We open this up, and again, it's 24 hours, 7 days a week. You don't have to wait for me to pick up the phone. You go to the website and you work the deal as best you can on your own. And you can do it on your cell phone. You can do it on your tablet. You can do it at the desk while the consumer's there, or if they're out on the road, taking a test drive, which we all know is very important. Although we probably sold a few cars. I don't know, anybody could probably tell me some stories where they sold cars.
I imagine the first few deals that a dealer does are probably a little bit nerve-wracking. That's the first few things that are always the hardest. But once you've done one or two or three deals, it's probably a piece of cake.
Yeah.
Is there I see a couple of questions here. There's an anonymous attendee that's asking, is there a minimum number of deals that you have to sell them to MidAtlantic? Now, I'm imagining he's talking about a bulk, because obviously point of sale, there's just one at a time.
Or no, there isn't a minimum. You could for the bulk, it's kind of a mid-flex, mid-bulk, mid-stream. It's kind of an interesting program that we actually rolled out 20 years ago. We still run it here, where we'll purchase the deals on an individual basis if you just started them out and they just got onto your books, or if they've been on your books for a while, we'd still take a look at them and we'd purchase them as low as one, as high as, again, 1,374, or we could probably take a look at it at least and get you an idea. There's no no's. There is exceptions to that no-nos, but we will look at each and every single deal. We never we never turn away a dealer, whether it's one account or, you know, infinity symbol. What about trade-ins? We do have a spot on the website where you can actually put in trade-ins. So right here, work it into your deal. You know, if you have a car that you're willing to give $3,000 on the trade-in, you know, you have the vehicle, you see the check change, you see the max rate change. You can max the deal out a little bit higher. I stopped sharing my screen. I realized a little too late. But if you can see my screen again, this field right here is the trade-in. So in that instance, you can actually go ahead and show the trade-in.
Lee, right below that trade-in, there's warranty, service contracts. You have service contract providers you prefer or not prefer, or do you prefer those on cars or not?
Currently for independents, you know, with warranties, you can put in what you like. We usually do ask that they're accredited in some fashion. But for the point of sale program, the warranties being structured in, until you get to know us or until we've experienced the warranty company, your assigned teammates or buyers will be able to work the deal with you to see if they qualify or anything like that. And it's a case-by-case scenario too. We really try to work with everybody, but I don't want to say yay or nay to anybody individually. It's case by case.
Case by case. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Lee, fantastic job. You did fantastic. And we appreciate your time and appreciate MidAtlantic Finance. And we're glad you're out there buying stuff, buying contracts.
We haven't stopped, and you know, we can't stress that enough. A lot of companies have shut down in the period, not buying paper. MidAtlantic Finance has not skipped a beat. We have continued to do what we've done for the last 30 years, and we're not going to stop for the next 30 years. We are open for business. We never turned off the lights, and we have put more consumers in their vehicles in the last few months than months previous. And that's just how we run. We just cannot stop. If you do something for 30 years, I don't think it's in our ability to stop. If we tried to turn off the lights, I don't think anybody knows where the switch is, to be honest.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, there's one last question there, and it's from the anonymous attendee that says, following up on the trade-in question, do we send you pictures of the vehicle and the miles and you'll come up with a number? I'd imagine that the dealer is the one that decides what the numbers are on the trade-in, right?
Completely on the dealer side, because you end up holding the vehicle. You know, that vehicle is your collateral at that point. So you would be adherent to how you evaluate the vehicle. You know, you structure it onto your deal, your contract, and everything like that. As far as MidAtlantic Finance fact checking that, we won't. But you know, deals tend to need to make sense. Sometimes if you have a massive trade-in, it doesn't make any sense. No one's going to buy that loan. So be cautious.
Right.
Don't charge for GPS. Bob will teach you that too.
Don't charge for. I saw someone the other day doing that. I had to tell them no. But now, one of the things I was going to mention, my name is Bob, and my email is easy, bob@waynereaves.com. So if you have a question that you didn't get an answer to, shoot me a message with your question and a contact number and name so I can call you back.